Okay, we're going to do muscles of week 3, which will be muscles of the lower extremities. I'm going to break it up and make them into a little bit different groups than they are on your lab manual, but that's because there's a significantly less number on this section in this week of muscles. The first one we're going to talk about here is the sartorius. It's about the longest muscle in the body. It starts right here and wraps around the leg to end right there. The sartorius, its origin, is up here on the anterior superior iliac spine, and as you can see it continues on to the side inside of the knee, where its tendon will come this way to the tibial tuberosity. Its action, as it flexes, it will pull this leg downward this way, which is flexion of the knee, and it will also pull right here the leg upward, which will be flexion of the hip. So it flexes the hip and the knee. The next group of muscles that we're going to talk about are on this anterior part of the leg, and these muscles are called your quadriceps femoris. We're going to talk about them each individually. The first one is this one right here, which is called the rectus femoris. It's right along the front of your leg, and its origin is right below the sartorius, and it's the anterior inferior iliac spine, and it comes around this way, and its tendon wraps around the patella and to the tibial tuberosity. Right next to it on the outside of the leg, we have this large muscle here, which is called the vastus lateralis. Its origin is on the greater trochanter and on the linea aspera around the back of the femur. Its insertion is the same, through this tendon to the tibial tuberosity. The muscle on the inside of the leg, right next to the rectus femoris, is the vastus medialis. It's medial. Its origin is underneath the femur, and it will begin on the linea aspera. And again, its insertion is the same, through this tendon to the tibial tuberosity. If we remove the rectus femoris, we will find a muscle underneath there. This is the last of the quadriceps, and it's called the vastus intermedius. Its origin is right along the body of the femur, and again its tendon comes and joins and will insert into the tibial tuberosity. All 4 of the quadriceps together do the same action. They extend the leg at the knee. So extends the leg at the knee is the action for all of them. I'm going to replace this muscle, and we're going to talk about a couple other muscles that are on the inside of the leg. Right here we find this very small muscle. This is called the pectineus. The pectineus begins right here on the pubis, and its insertion is the femur. Its action is to adduct the thigh, so it brings the leg closer to the middle. The next one right here, we see this little crevice right here, and we have the adductor brevis. So the way that I remember that is that it is the brevis in the crevice. It also begins in the pubis, but its insertion is in the linea aspera. Because it is an adductor, it adducts the thigh. The next one that we have next to it is the adductor longus. Also begins in the pubis and ends in the linea aspera, and it adducts the thigh. If we come here to the side, the next one is this muscle right here. This is called the gracilis. It begins on the pubis, but it inserts right here on the side of the knee and inserts into the medial epicondyle of the tibia, right in here. Its function is also to adduct the thigh. Behind the gracilis and underneath it, here we have the last of the adductors. This is the adductor magnus. Again, begins at the pubis and inserts in the linea aspera below the femur, and it adducts the thigh. And those are all the muscles of the anterior upper leg.